Hello, welcome back, or welcome to my channel. My name is Taylor, and today we'll be going through every 5-star I gave in the year of 2024. Or at least as of now, December 20th. I don't think I'm going to be giving too many more out between now and December 31st. But before I hop in the video, remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you love all things books. And welcome to Bookmas Day 11. So according to StoryGraph, this year I read 81 books. I'd say it's actually probably closer to like 83 to 85 because I didn't clock all the books I read because of certain reasons. So out of those 83 to 85, I have 16 5-star reads, and I have them all in front of me or on my StoryGraph because I did read some of those online or ebooks that I don't have physical copies of. But I thought this year, I feel like I gave out more 5-star reads this year than I feel like previously. But then when I was looking at it, a lot of these 5-star reads came from either the same series or the same authors. So I feel like I gave out a lot of 5-star reads, but a lot of them were isolated to specific sections of what I was reading. So yeah, I'm going to try and start with the first 5-star read I gave this year and go up to the last one, which I did have a few holiday 5-star reads, so let's hop into it. So the first 5-star read of the year did come from Kimberly Lemming's Mead Mishaps series, and then they all just ended up being 5-star reads after that. If you don't know anything about this series, it is a series of interconnected standalones following 3 different people from the same small town it's called Boo Hell, in this little, I'm not quite sure what the overall name of it, but in this small town, in this world, the goddess Maiva has, been protecting them from the demons. But one day in book 1, Bree accidentally helps a demon wake up from Maiva's spell, and he's like, I need you to go on a quest to help me end Maiva's rule. And Bree's, no, not Bree, this is Cinnamon, I'm getting all the names confused. Cinnamon's like, I'm not sure about that, and then, adventure and romance ensues. Then in book 2, we have That Time I Got Drunk and Needed a Love Potion at a Werewolf. This one continues a storyline from book 1, but this time you're dealing with the fact that Bree, Cinnamon's best friend, threw a love potion accidentally at Felix the werewolf, and he's like, you're my fated mate, and she's like, no, you have a love potion on you. And then a lot of monster smut and adventure ensues there. And then the last one is following Dante in That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Human, who goes out of his way to find his fated mate because all of his friends have a fated mate. The first and the last book follow dragon shifters, and then the second book follows, obviously, a werewolf. They're all 5 stars. They're all spicy, funny, grand old times. I think they all started out as novellas, but now they're all full-length novels. And then while we're here talking about Mead Mishaps and Kimberly Lemming, I did read the little Christmas novella, or one of the Christmas novellas from this series called Mistletoe recently, and that was a 5-star read. This one I would read in between the first and the second book to continue that lore. I'd say they're interconnected standalones, but they really should be read in order, in my opinion. So Mistletoe follows Ruby, whose dad's little blacksmith shop has been cursed because he stole from a fox demon. So she makes a deal with the fox demon to be his pretend mate for a week to help garner some trust amongst the dragons, and then romance and spice ensues. And this one actually officially became the shortest book I read this year. If you saw the end of the year tag, because I always said I read a lot of short books and novellas in the year, or at least in December time. So all of Kimberly Lemming's reads have been great. So if you're going to do reading order, do read That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon, then Mistletoe, and the next 2 books after that. I will say the first book is only single POV, then you get dual POV in the second books. The first one didn't bother me, like most books who have romance books without single POV, but do keep that in mind if you're like, is it dual POV? The first one isn't, the second 2 are. The next book came in April, so those books came starting in February. This book came out the gate at the beginning of April, and that's Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute by Talia Hibbert. This book I got for $5 on sale at Books A Million, and it was Talia Hibbert's YA debut. And I love YA. And Talia Hibbert's has been an author I've been intrigued by because everyone talks about her romance books, particularly her adult romance books. So when I picked this one up, I knew that everyone was kind of mixed opinions on this, but it was a 5-star read. I just kind of love, because she kind of just translated her formula for adult books into YA and just kind of kept it faded black there. And it was a grand old time. In this book, you're following Celine and Brad, who are best friends growing up, but after Brad kind of joined the popular crowd, Celine and them just went different ways. So now they kind of live their life as schoolyard academic rivals. But Celine is trying her best to get into the Catherine Breakspere, program, to get a scholarship and to get, introduced to Catherine Breakspere, her idol. And Brad's like, I need that money too. So they both are competing for the same scholarship in this wilderness survival skills program, and they are forced to spend time together and confront their issues of the past. And, romance ensues there. And Brad, our male main character, is bisexual and dealing with OCD, so do check your trigger warnings there. But it was fun to read a story where we had a bisexual male main character, because I feel like bisexual men are not represented heavily in media nowadays, and I absolutely love this. And on the train of Talia Hibbert, let's go ahead and get out of the way, the Brown Sisters trilogy. Now, I only gave the first and the last book 5 stars, but I did give the middle book, Take a Hint, Danny Brown, around that 4.5 to 4.75 star range. I just wasn't feeling it as much as the other two. So the Brown Sisters trilogy follows the 3 Brown sisters who are both going on equal ventures to learn about life and love. So the first book that I gave 5 stars from this series is Get a Life, Chloe Brown. This book is following the eldest Brown sister who recently had a near-death experience and is going out of her way to get a life because she's kind of lived her life secluded after a bad relationship and her dealing with her diagnosis of chronic pain and chronic illness, which you'll delve more into the book. And she tends to spend her life sheltered, so she moves out on her own for the first time and gets into a little bit of a rivals to friends to lover situation with the building attendant that she lives with named Red. And it was just a great time. Obviously, with all Talia Hibbert books, she does try to tackle mental health and all that, so do check trigger warnings. Then the other one that I gave 5 stars, Act Your Age, Eve Brown. Ooh, I think this one might be my favorite in this series. This follows the youngest Brown sister, Eve, who has gone through life not quite sure what she wants to do. And after her latest failed business, her parents are like, we are cutting you off and you need to move out. So Eve goes on a little venture, and on her venture she's a for hire sign at a little bed and breakfast, and she's like, I can cook, I'm going to apply. And then she accidentally runs over the bed and breakfast owner, and now she has to kind of stay out of obligation to help him run the business because, she broke him. And then romance ensues between them. Kind of a little opposites attract, but not so opposites situation going on. And I'm just going to say, what is his name? Jacob? Love him. Jacob is on the autism spectrum, if you are looking for autistic character representation. And this was just a grand old time. I love Talia Hibbert's books. I'm excited to read more of her backlist in the new year. And I know she's recently announced that she's going to be working on a romantasy book. So I will be sat and ready to listen when that comes out. Then we have the second part of the Shepherd's King Zoology by Rachel Gillig, and this is Two Twisted Crowns. This is the follow-up to One Dark Window, and in this story you're following Elspeth Spindle, who lives in a world where magic is all contained into this deck of 12 cards, and every user who wants to access that magic has to tap that card 3 times to access it and tap it 3 times to no longer have access to it. But also in her world, this mist has settled over the town, and whoever gets infected by the mist gets endowed with magical powers, but also is doomed to die of a madness. And the king has sent out soldiers to try and capture them. And Elspeth did catch it, but she's been living with this sickness for all her life, and no one has caught her up until recently, and then an adventure ensues to kind of handle the situation going on. Book 1 was a grand old time. I gave that one 4.75 stars, I really think, for the ending alone. And then this book just kind of took a twist, because book 1 is only single POV, and then you get multiple POVs in this. And I think I gave it 5 stars just for the whole uniqueness of the plot and the trip that it took. Well, I'd say this is probably the weakest 5-star of all the 5 stars in the lineup, but I do highly recommend this duology if you're looking for something different that you may not have seen in the fantasy or romantasy genre before. Yes, there is romance in this. I think the romance is more heavy amongst book 1 because that's more of the relationship building. But if you're looking for a romantasy fantasy book that's in the adult genre, this is for you. That last book came in the month of July, and this book ended out my July with me crying every time you hear that song by Jenna Voris. This one we have a bisexual lead whose name is Darren, and her mother has recently recovered from cancer, but she might be about to relapse, so Darren is worried about her mother, life, and all things money. So when their favorite artist that they've listened to their entire life, Deckley Castle, passes away, it issues a hunt For all of her fans to find her long-lost album and win some money along the way, Darren enlists her co-worker to help her go on this trip to find all of this. While coinciding with that, we are also following the timeline of Deckley Castle's rise to fame as a country music star in the 60s and 70s, as well as she's trying to live her best sapphic secret life. And a lot of drama, romance, and secrets and, stardom ensue. And I'm just gonna say you're rooting for all of them, and then, you know what? I listened to You're On Your Own Kid. That popped up on the playlist as I was reading the end, and that's what made me cry. So if you're looking for something that really makes you feel that one, do read it. Did I kind of call the plot twist? Yes. Do I care? No. But if you're looking for a grand old sapphic and bisexual time, that one's for you. To me, Deckley Castle is giving if Dolly Parton was a lesbian. Then we have That Self-Same Metal by Brittany Ann Williams. This is the first book in what I believe is going to be a trilogy. I picked up the book and read the synopsis and thought, this is kind of giving a little bit of Legendborn vibes, just because we're dealing with English history and stuff. Legendborn follows the Arthurian myth, and this one follows a lot of Shakespeare, so I'm getting that. And then Tracy Deonn recommended it on her stories, and I'm well, must pick this up now, and this one became a 5-star read. So in this one, you are following Joan Sands, who works at the Globe Theater as their fight master. But in secret, she's actually been endowed by the Orisha Ogun? Yeah, I think that's what his name is. It's either a D or a G in there. To have the power to create metal out of her own hands. And during the time that she's working there, the accords between Fae and humans are broken, so now the Fae are out and about, causing all shenanigans and killing humans, and she's the only one with the power to conjure iron that can mortally wound Fae. So we go about her trips as they are dealing with this big accord breaking, and her determining and learning how to actually access and understand her abilities. And we have a little queer situation going on here, so if you're looking for a bisexual lead that's also historical, YA, and may also be a little polyamorous, this one's for you. And I can't wait to read the second book, which hopefully I'll get for Christmas. If not, I'm just going to go ahead and order it online because I can't seem to find it in person. What more can I say about Bloodmarked other than why haven't you read the Legendborn series? And also Oathbound comes out next year. And whoo, am I excited to see how it ends, but I'm also very sad to see it go. I also know it's coming out in hardcover, so if y'all see me reading it on Kindle, just know I have the other two in paperback, and I like to have my series matching, so I probably will wait till the other one comes out in paperback. But I did get this one in the sprayed edges version. So if you don't know anything about the Legendborn cycle, we are following Bree, whose mother recently passed away, and now she is spending the summer at her early access college program at UNC, I think Chapel Hill, University of Carolina. And while she is there, she witnesses something go down in the middle of the night that pertains to this weird Arthurian magical society that she never knew existed, and she starts to learn that she and her mother might be linked to this society in more ways than she ever thought. And then we follow Bree going through, in the first book, discovering her link to the society and all the things that go along with that. And then in book 2, which is Bloodmarked, we are following the aftermath of the events of book 1. And this book does contain a bit of a love triangle between a little friends to lover situation, a little enemies to lover situation. We all know who I'm rooting for. Let me know in the comments down below, who are you rooting for in the book? Honestly, I think book 3 is going to end up with her being single at the end of it, single, and then maybe a little epilogue situation there. But you know what? The romance does keep me on, but the action and the storytelling is absolutely superb. And Tracy Deonn has done no wrong in my mind, and when they make this into a movie, I hope they do it justice, because I'm ready. And I know it's been picked up, so we are all looking at you, movie makers. Also, why didn't you make it into a show? There's a lot of content that could have been just done and drawn out, unless you're giving me 3 to 4 hours worth of movie. But that's my rant for the day. Moving on to some final holiday reads, we have This Winter by Alice Oseman. This is the novella that takes place between books 4 and 5 of the Heartstopper graphic novels. This is just following Charlie's Little Christmas post all of his mental health struggles coming to a peak, and it follows all 3 of the Spring siblings. And honestly, this got 5 stars because I love Heartstopper and it gave me great vibes. Does it necessarily hold up to, should I have given it 5 stars? Maybe not, but I'm going to keep it there for the vibes. And then the last book that I got 5 stars is another Christmas novella, and that one I read on Kindle, and that is Cruel Winter with You by Allie Hazelwood. I gave this 5 stars. This is my first Allie Hazelwood, read, and it's got me excited to maybe dive into her in the next year. So this follows two former childhood friends who grew up knowing each other basically from birth. And Mark, our MMC, has been in love with the FMC pretty much all his life. And we're dealing with them going through the life of them growing up, discovering each other's feelings for each other, and sort of the aftermath of trying to deal with that situation. And this book was basically all I needed in one. It's 70 pages. It goes through beginning to end. We have conflict, we have resolution, and we have cute little romance to ensue. If you're looking for just like a fun but also emotional holiday quick read, I highly recommend. And I'm curious to see if all her other books follow this same little pattern, this little touch here. I also am like, I know her other full-length books I think have a little more comedy to them, and you can only do so much comedy, I feel like, in 70 pages, so I'm also looking forward to that. But those are all the books I gave 5 stars so far this year. Let me know what your top 5-star reads of the year were, and did we have any similar ones? Did you pick up any book recommendations from this video? And I'll see y'all in the next and last Bookmas video.